Hello everybody, my name's Vic Gilgis and I'm here to give you another talk on well-being. And I've said this earlier before with you, it's I hope to improve your well-being and also to improve mine. So in actual fact, this is episode 56 and I've titled it Well-being. I don't know if I've actually specifically done a talk itself on well-being. I've related perhaps to associated things that should give you well-being and what have you. So this is the intention of what I'm doing today, this video. And the reason it's formulating with me is because I decided to get back what I call on the boards again, to go, because this is what I used to do a lot, go and give talks to people. And I'm going to give a talk. I didn't realise how full things were booked up in the future, but I've managed to get a class in September time at the main library, Central Library in Nottingham. And so I'm chuffed about that. And it's a talk on well-being. So I've had to start thinking about what I'm going to do. It's a 2-hour thing on the day, obviously with a little break. And it's going to involve question and answers as well. So I just want to talk about what I intend to do on the day, which I'll probably alter, but it'll be similar. But, you know, for now, I'll talk about what I intend to do on the way. But my main purpose of this talk is to show you how I came about being able to understand and actually experience well-being, because to me it didn't come straight away. Because of the way in which I tick as a left brain ex-engineer. And I had to do a lot of interventions and get the foundations first. But in actual fact, everybody's different and some people don't need that. In fact, Sydney Banks, this is, I do refer to Sydney Banks, is he got it straight away. Well, it took a period of 3 days, apparently, his insights to formulate. And they were, as I've said before, on the 3 principles that he eventually called them. But what the 3 principles are about is really helping you to be able to understand yourself and how you tick, to be able to improve your well-being. So it took obviously a lot longer for me to do that, but everybody's different. But I'm going to go through the way in which I picked things up, because I thought there was some fundamental lessons that I needed to, which I wouldn't have known at the time, but I was lucky enough to stumble upon and hopefully learned, and that improved my well-being. So anyway, the talk I'm going to do, I did a little leaflet explain an outline of what I was going to do. And I'll just go through that briefly, if I may. Why you have ups and downs, why you suffer, falling back into love with life, why life doesn't go your way, how your life can go your way, how life can be happier, why things have got worse, getting back to a loving life, how to guide yourself through life, and the last one I put here is, it will make your teeth shiny. That's just a way of saying a daft thing to say, but in actual fact, it's true. It's because if your mental health improves, your physical health will just naturally catch up, and that's what I mean by that. We don't have to have shiny teeth; just brush your teeth. Now, and it's free admission because I want to try and help people. This helps me as well, as I've said. And let me just expand on the way I'm going to go about this, or the way I do go about things like this. I'm going to talk for 2 hours. Well, no, I'm going to talk, but in that 2 hours, I will invite question and answer. In fact, I hope to talk much less than 2 hours. Maybe, I don't know, half an hour, something. I don't know. Anyway, but I'm going to talk in a freestyle way. Let me explain. When you know enough about the principles, you get to realise that when you settle down inside yourself, get composed, and are really interested in what you're talking about and want to help people, and you're talking, that somehow ideas just seem to come into your mind, good ideas, that, if you'd have kind of written it all out to put it on a PowerPoint presentation, it just wouldn't have happened in the same way. So that's what I mean by that in a freestyle way. And so that fresh and unique ideas I know will pop into my mind, and hopefully as the participants that are there, is that they will be in that same zone, because this is true. We all work in an energy field, and when you are with someone in the same positive energy field, you get to know what you get in the zone with them, and you pick things up that you hitherto wouldn't have done. So, and one of the things is I don't have to trust too much that will happen, because it has happened before, and on the day it always does. It's like on the night, you can perform, as it were. Trust that will happen, because it does. Now, my intention of you getting, or the audience getting these ideas, and yourself, of course, is that you get kind of it seeped into you the intention of how to improve your well-being. So once you kind of get this into your psyche, into your psychology, then that helps. And so it's about me going to tell the people on the day how they tick as people, how they work psychologically, so as to engender insights in them that they will get in their own individual way. So I'm not saying, look, listen to me, this is X, Y, and Z of well-being. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to give you an understanding of how you tick, because once you get that understanding, that facilitates a portal, an opening to you having insights that are your insights, and those insights, because of where they are coming from, I don't know where, but it comes from a place which is positive and helpful, and it wants you to thrive. So in that sense, what will come through to the participants and to you, hopefully, is useful insights on how to improve your well-being so that you live a better life. So I will explain later on that the 3 principles which were discovered by Sydney Banks is like a reverse psychology. So we're not looking at thoughts and behaviours. We're looking right before that as to, in other words, we're not looking at why we're behaving a certain way or why we're thinking a certain way. Sociology has done all that. What we're looking at is where the power is. The power is the formless, because that's all form. Behaviours and thoughts are form. This is before form. It is the fact that we have a level of consciousness, and that we, so to put bells and whistles on the fact that we can think, and that thinking is a two-edged sword, but it's a gift, because we can, with using the gift of thought, we can make a better life for ourselves. Basically, because when we klutz it up and do it wrong, we know through the principles that's a signal to go right back to the beginning of where the formless, where this energy that gives rise to thought and gives rise to consciousness comes from, well, we don't know, God, the universe, but it's there. And once you tap into that, you're laughing. There you are. What Sydney Banks said is that it's simple and it works. And I like to think that helped me because certainly when I was in school, I was classified as being simple because I was down as a remedial kid, and so I had to kind of was always slow on the uptake. And then when I left school, I became an engineer, so I was very much working in this, then that, turn this gear that way, and the gear goes the other way. So it was all left brain, formulaic, linear thinking type of way. So I had a very much like a closed engineering mindset. And what I'm hoping here is, well, I'm hoping to say is that if I could get it, and this is what Sydney Banks always said, if he could get it, anybody could get it. But Sydney Banks was unique, obviously, and he got it very quickly. And what I'm saying is it took me longer to get it, but the lessons that I learned along the way, I'm trying to give you in this talk. And this talk might go over more than this podcast. Now, if it does, and I think it might do, I will complete it or continue with it in the next podcast. So it might take 2, perhaps 3 podcasts. I don't think so, probably 2, but it'll go outside this one. Now, so I'm going to talk about the underpinnings that I picked along the way. But what I want to start with, and this will give you some clues here as to well-being and how that arises or what it is that it was by having bad luck, or good luck, I suppose, why I came into this. What had happened was in my last job, I got a post as a university lecturer. And I thought this was the bee's knees because I'd come off the shop floor, and this was a brilliant university, the University of Nottingham, which was in the Russell top tier of universities and still is. And so it was good pay, good job, good hours, and really I was laughing because it was everything I wanted. But it wasn't even weeks, it was days when I realised that academic life was not for me. Although I love the students and I stayed there 16 years and I was well thought of, it wasn't for me. And what I'm saying is that I just got on with my job because I was paid to do that. And if I'd have gone to any other university, it'd have been the same gig. So what I did was I realised I was unhappy, didn't know why I was unhappy at the time, so I sought counselling. Now, it was not for me. In fact, all the counselling did, in my opinion, was to dig up the past as to why what things had happened to me and why had they upset me. I was angry about my situation, that I'd got to this decent job and yet it wasn't what I wanted, and I couldn't understand that, and I was just angry with everybody. I loved the students, and I loved my specialism was operations management, which is the production of goods and services. And so, I was good at that. I went down well with the students. I'd written academic papers, I'd written a book on it. So that I could do that. That was no problem. But I was just unhappy. So I sought counselling. It didn't work. So what I did was, I thought, if you can't beat them, join them. So I went on a counselling course at night class. And this is how things happen. Just by luck, on the brochure for the night class activities, there was another course called Super Happiness. And I thought this was like, this will be a light relief from the counselling. We'll be telling each other jokes. I'll go and get a joke book from the shop and, etc., etc. But this was the making of me. The counselling course I completed, got a sticky foot, but it just left me numb. It did. When I went on the Super Happiness course, daft name, I suppose, happiness is happiness, isn't it? But this was super, and it really was. It really was. So one of the things about it was the guy who taught the course, Henry Whitker Jewensky, little guy, I didn't think I have a lot of charisma, but wow, did he change me? And how I want to talk about this is that it changed me, and I didn't realise that it was improving my well-being and how he was doing it. Because when I went into his class, I noticed that at the break time we all went for a cup of coffee, and he sat there with a little flask drinking coffee, and honestly, everybody wanted to have a drink of his coffee because you could see he was savouring every drop of coffee. He just loved life. He loved coffee. When he looked out at the windows, at the flowers and the trees, because there was looking out onto a lawn at the outside of this college, you could see he was just drinking in life. He was enjoying life. And he had this gift that he gave to us of showing us to be really, life is wonderful. Without kind of lecturing about it, he was just demonstrating it. And when I kind of talked to him, it was more or less saying, look, you can have this. And so, and again, and I'll say this more than once, I was pursuing stopping my misery, but I didn't realise that I was pursuing happiness. And in order to pursue happiness, you have to put in a bit of effort, or I did, because I come from left brain engineering thinking. But once you start moving in that right direction, doors open for you. You've got to make an effort. But once you do make an effort, I know it sounds sloppy to say this, but the universe helps. It puts things in your way. And when you have the eyes to see it, because now your intention is to improve your well-being and live a better life, but mostly because you've got a miserable life. I mean, when I went, look, Nottingham University, one of the best universities in the world, but when I got there, it wasn't the university, it was me. It wasn't the place I should have been. So what I did was, especially when this was the start of me getting like an elevator to happiness, and I didn't realise it at the time, because during the day I was having to do my job, but on the night class I was learning what happiness is. Anyway, what I did was, I actually thought this bloke was hypnotising me. And I'll talk about hypnotherapy later. And I said to him, look, come on, how do you know all this stuff? You don't fall out of your cot just kind of knowing about happiness and what have you. And he went to a little satchel that he had, not a posh briefcase. I had a posh briefcase. And I hope I had the charisma. And in those days, the PowerPoint presentations. And he was just looking at some scribblings from a little book. He was 10 times more effective than me. And anyway, so I said, how do you know all this? Come on. And he, as I say, he got this little book out of his satchel, and it was called Happiness Now by a guy called Robert Holden. Now, we're talking about the late 90s. I don't know if there was any books on happiness. If there were scarce. And this was definitely one of the first, called Happiness Now. Not we were unhappy in the future. Not let's try and be happy in this. Not not the past, but we might be happy that it was now. You can have it now, and that just reflected what Henry, who was that little chap in the class on his super happiness course, was just demonstrating it to us. We're in the now. We're okay now. Look at it. Look at this coffee. Look at the trees, etc., etc. So that was the start of my life changing for the better. And again, I've got in my notes here that I put down. If you persist with an intention to become happier, improve your well-being, things have a way of placing opportunities in front of you to help you do so. In other words, as I've said, once you have eyes for something, just keep going in the direction of your intentions. It works out. So, to me, I was just drinking in all this stuff. And what I did was, I said to myself, well, so I got my clogs on, And this guy then was teaching or running his courses in Oxford. He now runs them from London. And I went on his 9-week signature happiness course. So over a period of 9 weeks, at a full weekend, so it would be Saturday and a Sunday, with maybe a Friday night, I can't remember, for over a period of 9 weeks, and in between he sent us material. It was just wonderful. It really was. And so I did that. And my well-being rocketed. It just did. I got to know Robert Holden. What a great guy. A one-off, definitely. And one of the things I picked up straight away was that Robert said that each of us has a different set level of happiness. So some people are like naturally born happier than others. They are at a particular level. And I thought, well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, I'm down there. And he said, no. He had researched his course. In fact, there was a BBC programme based on this research many years ago that attracted a few million viewers on, I don't know what it was called, but demonstrated that no matter what level of happiness a person was, they could raise that level of happiness through his course, because it was tested. There was a questionnaire at the beginning, a survey at the end of how their happiness levels or my happiness levels were. And they dramatically improved in every case, dramatically. And the good thing, and so what I'm saying is to a much higher level of happiness. And the good thing is it stayed there. It was maintained. Now, that to me kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities of all this, because it was happening to me at the time. And so that's what that course of Robert Holden's. I was looking at the time here, so we're okay for time. And yeah, some of the things that Robert Holden did. And I'll tell you 3 of them. One of them was he had a great big rope, thick rope, extended to the length of a room, and he asked us all to stand where I'm going to tell me to stand where we thought we were, from 0% to 100%, right at the other end of the rope, and low levels of happiness. I think a lot of us congregated around about 30%, and what he would do. And this was a good thing. He walked around the room just talking about joy, love, compassion, forgiveness, and just talking about it and just listening. You just soaked it all in and you started. It created an atmosphere. It created like a bubble of happiness. And then he would say to us, move now to where you think you are on the note to 100%. And we did. And so he would continue. And we eventually all moved up to around about the 80% mark. Brilliant. And I remember, this exercise I thought was good. And I think, in that moment, in that session, our happiness levels definitely improved. And in my case, and the others, I think stayed there. But one thing I did say I noticed was we were all around about the 80% mark on what we thought was happiness. And I said to Robert, nobody's at the 100%. Have you noticed? Well, there was one crazy man. But, so he said, so I said, how do you get to the 100% from this, where we're stuck? I think we're not stuck. It was good, 80%. And he said, well, that's a question I asked myself. So I thought, he's a tutor. We paid good money for this. It was good value. And I said, well, don't you know what it is? Oh, he said, I do and I don't. So I said, well, what is it? He said, I call it the X factor. So I said, the X between 8%, 100%. Well, what is the X factor? And he went, God, the universe, I don't know, but it's there. And he says, when your intention is to improve your happiness, it will help you. You will be moved along the way. In fact, one of the ways in which my happiness was improved is that both Henry earlier and Robert Holden explained to me what they considered happiness to be. And it was entirely different to what I thought it was. I mean, as in them days, my happiness was just kind of getting on in career land, and it certainly wasn't making me happy. But so having kind of got an understanding of happiness, that happiness could be reached and improved upon and maintained. And another one is that he did what I called around the world meditation. So he would invite us into this room after lunch. So they set up the room before lunch and in the lunch break. And there was music playing. There was lovely flowers. The atmosphere was just so lovely. And it placed messages on the ground, labels, and it might be forgiveness, it might be love, it might be empathy, it might be compassion, it might be trust. He had all those things, and he asked us to go and sit on whatever we thought was appropriate for us. So I wandered around the room. I forget what I sat on. And then Robert just went around the room, just talking about each one of these. And it was like a meditation. It was just bliss. We were just there. And I started for the first time really to get the feeling of happiness. And it's not bullshit. It just is there, and it was happening. Since then, Robert has written a book called Higher Power Book. I've got it on an audio book, and it's very good. It's called Higher Power, I think. So I think that is what I mainly wanted to say on so far. I'm looking at the time. I will say now that I was just looking at my notes here. He had another exercise called I'm Here to Be Seen, where we paired off. So you had another person opposite you, and you stood up and you were facing each other, and one said to the other, I'm here to be seen. And the other one said, and I see you. So it's, I'm here to be seen. And the other one said, I see you. And then you reverse that. So the other person said that. And that was so powerful. Just being in another person's closeness, energy field. Actually, because we all want to be seen. We all want to be noticed. We all want to be felt that we are in life and recognise that. We want to be together because we like other people, because we really do care for other people. And it's nice when they see something in us and we see something in them, because we know that we want to be seen, because basically what we are is created is wonderful. We're just wonderful. But we think we're a pile of shit. Often. We're not. We're beautiful. And when you get the well-being thing, it brings it out in you that you really know this. So I think I'll stop here on this, because what I want to, just in conclusion, what I want to say, this was just a platform, because what happened thereafter, because I'd got these underpinnings, which I've mentioned to you, which you can have, and I hope I've kind of given you some kind of basics on that, is that what happened to me afterwards just blew my mind and really just rocketed my well-being. It's there. And in my case, it took a struggle, because I have to kind of go slow on these things. I don't have brilliant insights, etc. I try my best, but that rocketed me in what happened next, and I'll talk about that in the next podcast. What I'll go on to now is just some breathing and then relaxation, because I'm looking at the time. Okay, so on the breathing, just settle down into your chair now, and let's do like it's a box breathing, which is just breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe out 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe out 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe out 2, 3, 4. Now just breathe normally. Here's another one. Breathe in 1, 2, breathe out 2, 3, 4. Breathe in 1, 2, breathe out 2, 3, 4. Breathe in 1, 2, breathe out 2, 3, 4. One more. Breathe in 1, 2, breathe out 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I hope that's helped there, and it does. Just get to settle. Now let's just have a kind of a thanking of the body for what it does for us. We don't take it for granted, do we? And just relaxing through the body from the top of your head, your scalp, everything. Just relaxing. Soft temples, just going down your body to soft cheeks, relaxed jaw, so relaxed, just going down to easy shoulders, lovely relaxing forearms, easy chest. That's all the muscles relaxing in your chest and your tummy, down to relaxing in your chair with your hips, your bottom sat on the chair, just soft and being supported, just down, so easy and relaxed. Just going down through your thighs, all relaxed there, easy on the knees, little muscles there, right down through your calves, so nice and easy, that's right. Easy down on your ankles, those little muscles there, lovely. Relaxed feet, all relaxed right down to the very tips of your toes. All nice and soft, that's right, and relaxed. Okay, thank you. So what I was talking about is like an introduction to a course I'm going to run, in a talk I'm going to give in September, that I'm just getting my head round to what I'm going to say, and hopefully illustrating that once we set out on this path of well-being, then the universe or whatever it is comes to help us. And if our intention is there, in fact, once we tune in to well-being, that intention just shows us the way. And as I've said earlier, we start having eyes for it. And once we do that, we're well on our way. And I'm not saying that this well-being stuff that you're never miserable. I often get miserable because I'm on my bloody own. But no, actually I'm okay, because I do know it's a wonderful world. And I do know, like you are a wonderful creation, and you can be happy, and your well-being is assured. It is, we get a lot of bad thinking about it all. And because of how I've managed, hopefully, some lessons there, this is learning about happiness and that it can be achieved and the ways of achieving it. That I've given you some of the underpinnings here that I will continue with in my next podcast with you. So I love you all. Thank you for listening and viewing. Take care. I'll be doing like part 2 next week. Thank you.